Hey everyone, Dr. Harold Pan, physical therapist here, owner and founder of Movement Empowered Physical Therapy. Welcome to Beyond the Clinic, a place where physical therapists can thrive, especially in an uncertain world, uncertain environment. Today I wanted to talk about taking action when you know or suspect you're in a system that is rigged against you. And I'm talking about just corporate healthcare in general. It's not an easy gig in any setting. And so far, I'm very familiar now with two out of the many settings of physical therapy. But I mean, there's kind of three principal settings. You have your inpatient or acute or SNF, somewhere along those lines. Then you have your home health. Then you have your outpatient. And I know you can diverge in many which way, and there are other options. You can go into academia, mentorship, fitness, but at some level it kind of all feels the same when you're not differentiating and you're not really recognizing all the potential you have in yourself here. But that takes work. It's simple and it's not at the same time. First thing that I think you should all recognize is that the system as it is in any corporate setting, but I'm going to talk again, emphasize healthcare, is it serves itself. System is designed to keep itself going. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about kind of the cycles, the ecosystem of physical therapy. You have somebody who has a problem, has an orthopedic problem, a neurological problem, whatever it is. They get admitted to the hospital, and the hospital, they over there, they get better in some ways. They're not there to be treated for those long-term issues that probably got them there in the first place. In most cases, maybe sometimes there's a broken bone here or there, but a lot of the times, high blood pressure, heart failure, or elective surgery, hip replacement, COPD, a lot of issues, CVA. In some cases, a lot of these are preventable, or you can delay them significantly. Not all the time, but a lot of the times. But what happens at the hospital? In many cases, you get them just good enough to what you call prior level of function. And I get it. The hospital is not a hotel, not a concierge. It's there to treat people that are sick. But where did that fall apart? It kind of fell apart when we started looking at coding and complexity, not necessarily what is necessary. And it's not to blame the facility themselves. They are built on usually state-run dollars, insurance-run dollars, things that are built by the system, so it has to serve the system. What about extended care, like a skilled nursing or inpatient rehab? It's kind of the same thing. You get a little bit more out of that, but I've done my stint there too. You usually get 2 weeks max, and I mean, raise your hand if you've ever been in that situation working in a SNF, or you've heard a patient who complained about a SNF. I mean, I know somebody right now on my caseload, she was talking about, oh, this place, worst place ever. I love my therapist there, but then they kicked me out. And maybe it was by policy. Maybe there was a valid reason to move them on, but the patient doesn't know that. So there's inherently something wrong with that system as well. The patient's not always right, but something went wrong for them to understand wrong. Okay. So again, why does that happen? Because once they meet certain criteria of discharge, they have to be moved on, whether or not they have actually accomplished their goals or felt like they've been rehabbed. I don't think anybody is doing anything short of their best effort to help people out here, but it's a function of the way things are. And then let's look at home health. I'm in it right now. OASIS documentation. And I can tell you the reimbursement somewhere, depending on where you live, like 60 for a follow-up visit to maybe 100, maybe 120. Or if you do a start of care, oh God forbid, like maybe you'll get $100 for a start of care, and some other places you'll get 200 or maybe even more if you've been around the block and you can negotiate. But what is that value? I mean, we just had a notary come to do a signing for my brother. That one visit from the notary, like $150. And that's considered low for them. And they didn't do any PT work. They just went there and went over the paperwork. And it's all about value, which I'll talk about in a second, value. We had a pool guy clean out our pool filter, again, for $150. Why is it that we are having trouble negotiating for more than a $40 an hour salary or a $150 a visit payment? Is it because the patients aren't getting better? But think about it that way. I'm going to get back to this in a second. I'm going to move on. But just think about those questions here. On a per visit basis, as a provider, you can only do so much, and then you're left with a lot of administrative paperwork. You have your OASIS documentation, which I'll tell you, it takes me a long time to do. If I see 3 patients in a day as like a part-time schedule, that's like a minimum of a 5-hour day, including drive time between patients. That's not even counting paperwork time. And the patients usually don't always meet every functional medical need. Again, the system here. Thanks PDPM, PDGM for these changes. And then we move on to outpatient. Each year, a Medicare cut 8%, 9%. We rejoice when Medicare decided not to cut 9% and cut like 5% instead, or 1%. It doesn't matter what the cut is. We were happy when they don't cut as much. Why is it that we're happy when they still cut our payment as providers? Is it our fault as a profession? In some senses, the responsibility lies on you, yes, but not necessarily in the way that Medicare says or that any other profession says. It's really, again, recognizing where you are. If you choose to be in a system that serves just primarily the system to keep itself going, but it doesn't necessarily live to serve the patients or the providers, it's trying to make a non-zero sum gain there, which is great. At least it says it is, but in reality, it's American corporate healthcare that wins, not the healthcare providers, not the patients. And you can tell by how much you're paying for insurance every month, or what you're able to do for your patients, or how much you're getting paid in a corporate setting. Some cases are good, some cases are not. Sometimes you might just be jaded by it. And that's the purpose of this video. Don't be jaded. Don't leave your job if you care about helping others as a rehab professional. You're so well equipped, you're so skilled to do it, that it would be a waste of your talent to leave it, unless if you have a burning passion to move forward. But how do you do that? How do you stop perpetuating what's wrong with the system? First, recognize that there isn't like a specific bad guy. But in order to make things better, you have to build a new one. You have to build a new system, a better one. And there's so many ways to go about it. And that goes back to the idea of value. If a notary can charge $150 a visit, if a pool guy can charge $150 and not even be there for a full hour, and make no mistake, I mean, I don't know the legal speak, but I'm pretty sure it takes more hours of training and more dollar cost of tuition to become a doctor of physical therapy than it does to become a notary. It certainly does take more training to do that than to become a pool guy. They're both unique skills, and I don't envy those professions, but somehow they're getting reimbursed better, which it doesn't necessarily come down to greed, But what it comes down to is all the effort that you put in, is it worth your time? Can you even observe those changes, especially if you have to discharge those patients early, if you can't meet goals? Then you start to get frustrated. Then you think about quitting. Then you think about doing something else entirely. You think about, oh, maybe I should have gone to law school or med school, or I should have been working on Wall Street. And you end up leaving the profession. And that's not what I want. The options you have, and this is not the limitation here, but these are just some things you can consider. And just look online. Mobile concierge. I've done that before. It's not off the radar right now. You are your own limit there. Give patients what they need and what they want. And in most cases, you're not going to run into problems with having a shortage of visits or having a shortage of reimbursement for your time, because time is extremely valuable. You want to make sure that you're serving somebody for a greater good, not just wasting efforts. Okay? And then there's brick and mortar out of pocket, or there's telehealth, or you can start educating people. In my opinion, if it comes down to it and you're thinking about quitting your job, you should just offer your PT services on some level, in some form, for free, and have people benefit from it, and then work a side hustle otherwise, or work a real job that you rather enjoy. Because again, you have all these talents and all these skills, and it's not a sunk cost. And the other aspect to this is, don't wait around for things to be perfect. Just start doing it, because that waiting around for perfection is one of the very reasons why healthcare is kind of chasing its own tail. I'll tell you, I received almost an Oasis start of care audit for every note that I wrote, because we have G codes and we have M codes for level of function, which is completely redundant. They both ask about feeding, hygiene, ADLs, but they ask slightly different questions. And because of the verbiage on these questions, sometimes there's overlap, and sometimes they get irreconciled, and it begs the question, why are they asked twice? Why do you have to go over that? And it takes extra time, and ultimately it makes no difference to people other than reimbursement, other than payment. So my proposal to you is, challenge yourself. What do you not like about your profession? What do you not like about what you're doing right now? What do you wish was different? Can you envision a way to get there? Because if you can, you should start taking action right now. Draw a map out, whatever it is, and talk to somebody. And if you don't even know who to talk to, drop some comments below. Email me, message me, or I'll point you to a mentor here, somebody who's been around the block longer than I have. Because for certain, you're not stuck, you're not alone, and you're totally worth it. So any thoughts, questions, comments, drop a comment below. If you want to follow more of my information, more of my videos, please subscribe and share. And have a great day. I've been Dr. Harold Pan, physical therapist.